buying this product from DuPont. She said, well, I still have to know what's going into making it. Bring me the information from DuPont. They say he's a fundraiser from Mulroney. She said, I have nothing to do with that. It's my job to sign here to say that I have received this information and it is satisfactory. It's still going to be done on behalf of the Minister of Health. They harassed her. They removed her from the job. They removed her upper layers of management who supported her. And she met a terrible accident as a pedestrian. Around 1989. Now, during that same period, I had never received a promotion. 20 years had passed. And I'd given up even asking for it. And I started to do other things. I started to write poetry. I started to take courses in religion, philosophy, this and that. I became a student of the Bible. I published a book on the book of Genesis, and all kinds of things I started to do. I did community service and so forth, as long as I just did my job. But when this happened, that was the turning point of my life. I felt that to remain silent when your government becomes corrupt, you are part of the corruption. So therefore, I must do something about it. From here on, the story is all described in this book. And the story reads like a novel, except it's real. It will describe step by step how I took on the government without knowing where I was going to go. I was just going to follow the law. Wherever it took me. I applied for a job. They wouldn't let me apply for a job. They would just screen me out. They would appoint other people. I would appeal. I would win the appeal. They still won't let me apply. The Public Service Commission is on my side. They still won't do it. And they would defy the Public Service Commission. And finally, I sued the department on racism. On behalf of, went out and became president of a group like this. On behalf of visible minorities, I brought a case against the Queen. When I say the Queen, you don't actually sue the Queen, because the Queen, as head of the state, is caretaker of all the statutes, of all the laws. So when you say such and such versus the Queen, it meant in this case Health Canada as my employer, the Public Service Commission that makes the decision to make fair appointments based on merit, and the Treasury Board, which is ultimately the employer of all. So those three departments in care of the Queen, it took many years, and we won. When we won, all the newspapers, everybody got upset. Oh, from now on, the jobs are all going to go to the visible minorities, and they are not meritorious, this is not going to happen. They were all screaming. And I'm saying, hey, the quota is in place, but it's going the other way. You're actually keeping the competent people out. And it's not a question of color. You're keeping the competent people out. And the reason it happened, an assistant deputy minister of the department committed it on paper. The visible minorities are okay, but in scientific and areas, but somehow it's not a question of color. It's not in their culture to be able to work in the North American way of doing business. This is on paper. Because they come from autocratic societies. undemocratic countries. You're saying that to an Indian, for God's sake. There's no better democracy in the world. It may be chaotic, but it works. So, we won. I filed a personal case too. These things went on. I kept winning. And the department kept on getting madder and madder at me. And they tried right from the beginning to fire me. They couldn't find anything. They did all kinds of, investigations on me. Who is this guy who's speaking about these kinds of things? The Public Service Commission asked them to find something on it, and they did. When they searched in the file, they said, this fellow has no history of complaints. He's worked here for 20 years, he's motivated, and he's bilingual, he's got everything, he's good in science. All we can find is that lately he's been taking 1 day a month sick leave. That's all. They say, okay, put something on him. Literally. And then they put something without telling me. A chief filed a complaint against me that I was negligent in my duty one day when I happened to be an emergency drug release officer, that I didn't release the drug quickly enough and some 317 turkeys died. For God's sake, I mean, if 317 turkeys died, it was my job to find out, is there an emergency or not? I don't give a damn if 325 turkeys died, but I have to know if I'm going to release this drug in the name of the minister, I have to know, is there an emergency or somebody's subverting the system? Anyway, that got put aside, years passed, and then finally when I discovered, under access to information, I told the department, I want everything written about me. They said, well, tell us where it might be kept. I'm giving you these details. I'm giving you these details. Many of you would be facing these kinds of things, or your children as civil servants yourself. Because I'm following the law, and now it's even it becoming pretty difficult for doing what I have been doing. I said, under access to information, give me everything. That's my right. They said, tell us where it might be kept. I said, I don't keep it, so how do I know where it might be kept? I said, wherever my name appears, I want it. They said, oh, there's shelves full of stuff on you. I said, I tell you what I don't want. I do not want anything about my leave, this and that, just general stuff. But it might be kept in my boss's cabinets and different offices, and I put a few names. Go search these places. I got stuff about this thick. And in there I found that paper I just now described and these two complaints. And then that gave me now an opportunity to file complaints. When I found that human rights staff, that somebody is actually being outright racist, and he's an assistant deputy minister, and he's saying that it's not in our culture to be able to work in the North American way of doing business. If that meant to be equally corrupt, then sure. I don't want to be. And then he wrote, the chiv4 is not a team player. He doesn't make allies easily. I don't want to. And he's too authoritarian. I'm not using my authority. I'm using the authority of the law, which is given to me to ask questions. That's my job. And they're saying, don't ask job, just sign it here. And because if something goes wrong, you're responsible. And I'm saying, I'm not going to.